Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Climbing Series. I'm Marcus, a not-so-great climber from Vancouver, Canada, who's hoping to get a little bit better through analysis and an increased motivation for climbing. Today we are back in Hive, Surrey. There's a bunch of new climbs to work on, and quite a few climbs that I wanted to try and get during this session. Starting off for warm-up, we're on this blue 3 hex. You see my knee is on that one hold on the volume, and for the most part it was pretty okay. This purple 3 hex, still part of my warm-up, was proving difficult to read. I decided to go left on the start, and I couldn't quite figure out how I was supposed to get around it, especially with the left foot there, and that's when I realized, oh, I'm probably supposed to go around the right. So this was definitely a pretty big error. I think about how the climb itself isn't necessarily that difficult, but learning to read a problem is just such an important skill. This right hand as well is not an amazing hold. It's good enough, but even this top part felt a little sketchy to me. I felt like that right hand could slip at any moment. So I was pretty happy to have gone that, even if it wasn't the hardest climb. This green 3 hex is another one that was part of my warm-up. That was surprisingly a little tougher than I was expecting. When my left hand was where my left foot is right now, just on the volume, I really didn't feel like I had that much friction on it. Just quite slopey. And so this was a good warm-up for me. I feel like it wasn't necessarily physically intense, but it kept me on my toes and really woke me up mentally. Even this pink 2 hex was something that I thought was pretty cool. You definitely don't have to, but here I decided to try and hand jam. And that's not something you see very often. I just want to highlight this climb because I would love to see more of this in the climbing gym in general. I was talking about how I wish easy climbs had hard moves still. As in, I wish those V0 to V2 climbs would have maybe mono pockets, but really good feet. Maybe throw in some hand jams there, but again, some really good feet. Just exposing us to harder holds and harder moves, but still making the climb overall a little bit easier. This orange 4 hex was one that I really want to try. If you've seen the last few episodes, it's something that I've been working on every time I've come to Surrey. But this next move just feels so impossible that after my 3 attempts, I just gave up. I could not find a way to make that work for me, which was a little disappointing, but it's just how it is. This yellow 4 hex, last time I couldn't make this move either, but I think since I was fresh, feeling pretty strong, I managed to stick this move. And from there, the rest of it went pretty smoothly. Over here I was a little bit worried, but I think I've learned to just commit to the final move and throw myself at the jug. This orange 4 hex, as you've also may have seen before, was something that I really wanted to get. I think it's such a cool paddle with the right, left, and then both hands catch. And I've never been able to complete a paddle climb, and this felt within my reach. But I was just losing so much skin that I decided to move on to something else, which in this case was this climb, where I would also end up losing a lot of skin. This purple 4 hex I think I featured when it first came out, and since then I haven't really had a chance to work on it. The key things I was focusing on is trying to bring my right leg around in a circular motion, so coming out of the wall and then into the wall, opposed to just driving it towards the right. And with every attempt, I was feeling more and more confident. Here I finally get to get both hands on the hold, but it definitely was not consistent. As you can see, some attempts I'll get both hands touching, and other attempts like that I will just bail because it is honestly so far and so scary. I had also tried it from the mat and there's just no foothold. There's a tiny foothold right over here, but it is not very helpful. And so trying to get onto the hold where I'm actually grabbing it and can stop all my momentum is just very difficult. There, I really felt so close. I felt like I had a proper grab of it, but as I bring my body into the wall, I just end up kind of kicking myself off the wall. There as well, I definitely got my hands on for a bit, but I just could not find a way to get my body, to prevent my body from swinging to the right or off the wall. Still though, I really felt like I was super close here. And yeah, on that attempt too, I felt like I was holding it for just a second. And I was very determined to try and get this before I left. It was interesting because I wasn't planning to spend so many attempts on this. I think originally I thought that this was going to be too hard for me and was something I was just going to give a few tries for, just for the sake of it. But again, I feel like this has been a common theme over the last few episodes is I think I've been able to achieve much higher than I initially expect. And after these attempts, I really felt like this was possible. So I ended up using my entire session to try and get this purple climb, spending attempt after attempt and a lot of skin for this. But I really wanted this climb. Oh, and even that one was just, I remember thinking that every time I would get the two hands on there and I was this close, the only thing running through my head is like, oh, I have this. I am like one attempt away. And after every one attempt, I think, oh, it's just one more attempt. That's all I need. Unfortunately, I just didn't make it. I felt like maybe I just needed one more attempt. Maybe I would get it next session. But unfortunately, they took it down the session after, and that purple climb will never be sent by me. Now we're here in High Vancouver. This whole section was new. Just warming up on this blue 3 hex. It was funny because when I first looked at it, I thought there was actually a decent chance that I fall and not flash it, but it definitely ended up being a lot easier than I expected. This pink 3 hex as well was pretty straightforward. The holds were a little bit smaller than I was expecting in this section, but once I had that left hand, the rest of it was an easy send. This black 3 hex was one that I thought was quite difficult, pretty tricky. You start off on these juggy crimps, and it's quite overhung, so there's quite a lot of weight on my fingers here. And I'm definitely being very confident with my moves. And on this next move, the left hand is not amazing, and I decide to bump up towards the top of the hold. So there's like a hold and then a crimp is screwed onto it. And yeah, if you probably saw, but I had to put a lot of effort into matching that hold. I tried this green 4 hex next. I didn't really watch anyone complete it, but I had seen people reach the top. So I knew that this was definitely pretty doable. I think all the holds were pretty solid. Again, a little bit crimpy, but I'd say they're definitely on the juggier side. Here I just couldn't figure out the footwork. I tried to go left hand to where my right hand is right now. Instead, I realized I should have just been more committal and going all the way up. So here I commit to going all the way up, and I managed to stick it, which I was really happy about. And even the rest of this portion was not necessarily the easiest. It was still decently crimpy, and I completely skipped the penultimate hold and just go straight for the jug. Next was this purple 5 hex, which I thought looked kind of my style, honestly. It starts off with this heel hook, and for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I just could not make this heel work. So I decided to practice just from this section, so not starting from the start, but trying just this section to try and find a comfortable heel position. And I really focused on getting a high knee there, so keeping my knee more up and really digging in with that heel. And finally, I'm able to reach the next holds. Unfortunately, as I reach the next holds though, I feel like I just don't have enough height to maintain this heel hook very well. And that's definitely something I need to work on. Ever since I've had these solutions, I feel like heel hooking has been very difficult. I'd say heel hooks were my bread and butter, but on here it just felt very hard. So that's something just to keep in mind, I guess. But yeah, I'm still a little unsure how I'm going to make the match on the left without the heel. Because every time I went for it, I would just lose the right foot. And then I would just swing out. So after enough attempts, I decided to move on to this blue 4 hex. If you've been watching the previous episodes, this again was something that I'd been wanting to work on for a little while. I can do almost all of it in parts, but it's very hard to string together. It's a lot more finger intensive than I expect every time. And I really thought that this attempt was looking very good. I think, unfortunately, I actually don't know what happened there because I feel like I should have been able to get that with my left. I have a feeling I was just very fatigued. So if this is still up in the future, I feel like maybe I should try and do this earlier on in my session because it is very tiring. And you can just tell it's so tiring because after such a good attempt, I could never get back to where I was. Every attempt after just felt so difficult, especially this beginning section where you just have to be really low and there is just so much weight on the fingers. The holds are also kind of slippery, a little bit greasy, and so I was just having a lot of trouble with this. But I guess it's for another session.